Please turn to page 194 and rise. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
אמן.
בעלמא דברכיותי וימליך למלכותי וחייכון ויום אחד ובחיי בחוטאת ישראל. בגלה בגלה ובזמן קרים וימרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ויומי ימיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל. שמי דקודשה ברכו לעילה מכל ברכתה ושתירתה תושבחתה ומחמתה דהרן בעלמא ויאמרו אמן.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uvarei choshech oseh shalom uvarei et hakol hameir la'aretz v'ladarim aleha barachamim utuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid maaseh v'reshit ma'aravu maasech Adonai kulam b'chochma asita ma'al ha'aretz kinyanecha Titbarach Adonai Eloheinu al shevach ma'aseh yadecha ve'al moreh or she'asita yefaruch ha'sela or chadash al Zion ta'ir v'nizkeh chulanu me'ora le'oro Baruch atah Adonai yotzer ha'me'orot.
Please turn to page 199. O God, inspiration and guide for us all. You have spoken in 1,000 tongues for us to hear. In every land and every age, your children have heard you and imagined you in separate ways. And yet, O God, you are one, unifier of humanity. We give thanks for the sages and teachers who bring us understanding of your will. Gratefully we recall the lawgivers and prophets, the psalmists and sages of Israel, and joyfully we remember that from the dawn of Israel's life we would turn to you and find purpose. May the teachings of our ancestors live on in our minds, and their passion for righteousness stir in our hearts. Help us to live so that our daily conduct reveals the beauty and wisdom of your truth. Baruch atah Adonai Habocher b'Amo Yisrael be'ahava. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושימנתם בפניך, ודיברת בם, ושבתך בחיתך, ובמלאכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, לחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובי שעריך, למען תזכרו, ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים ללכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Please turn to page 240. Sing the song of men and women, joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace. Please rise for the defeat. Please be seated. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושימנתם בפניך, ודיברת בם, ושבתך בחיתך, ובמלאכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, לחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובי שעריך, למען תזכרו, ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים ללכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם,
להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Please turn to page 240. Sing the song of men and women, joined in understanding and expect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace. We now continue in the middle of page 208.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וכרז אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ, כבודו. אדיר, אדירנו, אדוני, אדוננו, מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ, ברוך כבוד אדוני במקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור. הללויה.
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור, לדור ודור, יגידו לך.
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור, לדור ודור, יגידו לך. ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש, קדושתך נקדיש. בשבחך אלוהינו, מפינו לא יבוש, לעולם לעולם ועד.
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור, לדור ודור, יגידו לך.
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור, לדור ודור, יגידו לך. יה לה 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 לה, יה לה 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 לה, יה לה 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 לה. יה לה 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 לה, יה לה 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 לה, יה לה 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 לה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Please be seated.
Page 211. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקוראי עולי שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקוראי עולי שבת.
The meaning of Shabbat is to celebrate time rather than space. 6 days a week we live under the tyranny of things of space. On Shabbat we try to become attuned to the holiness in time. It is a day on which we are called upon to share in what is eternal in time, to turn from the results of creation to the mystery of creation, from the world of creation to the creation of the world. Baruch atah Adonai mechadesh ha-Shabbat. Please turn to page 216.
We continue now with Seder Kriyat HaTorah, a service for reading the Torah, as we turn in our books to page 244, page 244. This being the morning we celebrate as Brandon Daniel Gordon, the son of Brina Daniel and Ken Gordon, is called to the Torah for the first time as a bar mitzvah. We invite Brandon's parents to join us on the bima at this time. And for the honor of opening the ark as we prepare to take the Torah scroll from the ark, we invite Brandon's grandparents, Jerry and Elena Daniel, to join us on the bima as well. Page 244.
Ein kamocha v'Elohim Adonai, ve'ein k'maasecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha bechol dor v'ador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai ozna mo'itin, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Al ha'rachamim.
Brandon, I want to invite you to look at your parents. And imagine standing next to them are your grandparents, and beyond them your great-grandparents, and then your great-great-grandparents. Try to imagine a chain in time all the way back to Mount Sinai. Imagine Moses coming down from Mount Sinai with Torah in his hands. And then he takes Torah and adds his own insight and wisdom and understanding and hands it to Joshua, who adds his own insight and wisdom and understanding and hands it to the elders, who hands those in the great assembly, who hands it to the next generation, every generation along the way, adding their own insight and wisdom and understanding. So finally it gets to the hands of your great-grandparents, who place it in the hands of your grandparents, place it in the hands of your parents, all adding their own insight and wisdom and understanding, as your parents then prepare to do the same and hand Torah to you. Because that is exactly what is happening at this moment. All the wisdom and the insight and understanding of the generations has been distilled and handed down as represented by Torah. And once again on this day, Brandon, as you become a bar mitzvah, once again do we pass Torah from generation to generation, from parents to their sons.
Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, u'demar Adonai b'Yerushalayim.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So each week we are blessed with the opportunity to hear a little more Torah, take in a little bit more Torah, help use the Torah to help us guide our lives. And this week we are reading from the Torah portion, the Parsha known as Vayera. Do I have that right, Brandon? All right, good. From Vayera, and it is a Parsha, a portion chock full of much happening. It is a portion that opens our eyes to what it means to welcome the stranger, to be welcoming to those in our midst. And it is a portion that holds up multiple episodes of tzedek, or justice, for us to certainly take in as well. This morning, Brandon is not only going to chant Torah for us, and he's going to be chanting Genesis 18 and verse 1 and following, but he will also share a translation of our text and then his own interpretation as well. So for our first Aliyah to Torah this morning, we call up Brandon's proud grandmother, Susan Levine, as well as his aunt, Sherry Huminsky.
נעמוד נא, סירי מקלה, בת אברהם ובסי ושינה לב שבת הרשם וסוזן לריה, תורה עליה ראשונה.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvara.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Haolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Baraka Makol Ha'amin Vatnat Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Notain HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayelach elav Adonai v'elochem amrei v'hu yoshech petach ha'ochel kechon hayom vayisa elav vayar v'hinei shloshan anashim v'tzavi alav vayar vayaratz likratam mi petach ha'ochel vayishtachu arza vayomar Adonai hinani chen ve'enecha al nachavar me'al avdecha.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Natan Lanu Torah Emet V'Haolam Toshpatinu. Baruch Atah Adonai Notain HaTorah.
Amen.
For our second Aliyah to our Torah this morning, we call up proud parents, Brina Daniel and Ken Gordon.
יעמוד ברינה רבקה בת רועי ולנה וקופל בר ישראל בן הרשל וסוזן לריה, תורה עליה השנית.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Ambarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amin V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Notain HaTorah. Amen.
Amen. Vaymacher Avraham ha'ohela El Sara Vayomer Mahadim Shloshim Kamach Soleh Lushi V'asihu Gohod Ve'el Havakorat Avraham V'yichach Hama Ben Bakar Ras Vatov Vayitin El Hanar V'macher V'asot Oto V'yichach Hamar V'sara Uven Havakar Asher Asa V'macher Bifnehem Ve'ole Alechem Tachatachem Vayochelu.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nota b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, notein haTorah. Amen.
Brandon, do me a favor, stand. Mom and Dad stand next to each other, and Brandon stand next to Mom. Thank you, Dad. Mr. Kim.
So for our third and final aliyah to our Torah this morning, it is with joy and it is great honor to call it for the first time as a bar mitzvah, Brandon Daniel Gordon.
Ya'amod habar mitzvah Kalil Shem Tov ben Kupel ben Yisrael U'bin Achiv Kalaliyah HaTorah Maftir Chazak.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach
Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Barchar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Vayamnu Elah Ayeh Sara Ishtecha Vayomer Chine Vaoher Vayomer Shuv Ashuv Elecha Ha'ed Chaya V'hine Sara Ishtecha L'Sara Shama Petach HaOchel V'chud Nachara Abraham L'Sara Zikeni Ba'im Bayamim Chadar Liot L'Sara Orach Kanan Shim. The Eternal appeared to him by the oaks of Mamre as he was sitting at the entrance of the tent at about the hottest time of the day. Looking up, he saw, lo, 3 men standing opposite him. Seeing them, he ran from the entrance of the tent to meet them, and bowing down to the ground, he said, "My lords, if I have found favor in your sight, please do not pass your servant by. Let a little water be brought. Then wash your feet and recline under a tree, and let me bring a bit of bread, and you can restore yourself. Then you can go on, now that you have come across your servant." And they responded, Very well, do as you propose. Abraham then hurried toward the tent to Sarah and said, Hurry, knead 3 measures of wheat flour and bake some bread cakes. Abraham then ran to the herd and took a young calf, tender and sound, and gave it to the servant lad, who quickly prepared it. He took sour milk and sweet milk, and then the calf had been prepared, and set it all before them. And as he stood over them under the tree, they ate. They said to him, Where is your wife, Sarah? There in the tent, he replied. One of them said, Rest assured that I will return to you at this time next year, and your wife Sarah shall have a son. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olav natav v'tochenu, Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Mazel tov.
So very, very, very proud. Okay, I'm done. You are.
As the Torah is lifted and dressed, we invite Brandon's great uncle, Ron Silverman, to join us on the bima for the honor of Glila, rolling and dressing the Torah. And we invite all who are gathered to rise. Step back, buddy. The Haftarah that we read for this day comes from the book of 2 Kings, chapter 4, verse 1 and following. Its connection to the Torah portion is that, of course, the portion we just heard, that Sarah received a divine promise that she'll have a son. It goes on where we read that she does not believe it because she and her husband are both so elderly, but God holds true to the promise, and Sarah eventually does have a child, of course, Isaac. Similarly, here in this section of the Haftarah, a barren woman with an elderly husband is promised by the prophet Elisha that she will have a son. That section comes a little later than that, which Brandon will be sharing with us. Elisha, known as a miracle worker, a magician of sorts, if you will, but not in the sense of sleight of hand, but one who is able to create things that are unexpected and perhaps unimaginable. And the section that Brandon will read from the very beginning speaks to us as also when Elisha's disciples had died, leaving great debt behind, and his widow and children were not able to pay them, and so her children were going to be taken from her as bond for the debts. But Elisha heard of this and came to her and said, "Do you have any vessels, empty vessels in your home?" Said a few, said, "Go and collect as many empty vessels as you can, from your neighborhood, because all she had was a small jar of oil in her home, and he told her then, take the small jar of oil. Remember that oil was the most precious commodity in the ancient Near East, used for various purposes, and so especially worth great value. And so Elisha instructed the woman, the widow of his disciple, to start pouring from her small jar of oil into the empty vessels. And it kept pouring and pouring, and the first miracle of oil, not Hanukkah, but this one, and pouring until every vessel was full of such great value that she was able to then sell it all and redeem her husband's debt and be able to live comfortably. As before, Brandon will share a Hebrew and then an English translation with us.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher barchar b'vim tovim v'ratzav v'divrechem hane'emarim be'emet Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'torah uv'moshiach Amosh Yisrael Amo V'inviei ha'emet v'tzedek. The wife of one of the prophetic disciples cried out to Elisha, saying, "Your servant, my husband, has died. You know how your servant always revered the Eternal. Now a creditor is coming to take away my 2 sons to be his slaves." Elisha said to her, "What can I do for you? Tell me what you have in the house." She replied, "Your maidservant has nothing at home but a small oil jar." "Go outside to your neighbors," said Elisha, "and borrow as many empty jars as you can. Then you and your sons shut yourselves in and pour oil into all these jars. When one is full, set it aside." She went away and did this, shutting herself and her sons in. They kept bringing jars, and she kept pouring. When these jars were full, she said to one of her sons, "Bring me another jar." But he answered, "There aren't any more," and the oil stopped flowing. She went and told the man of God, who said, "Go sell the oil and pay your debt. You and the children can live on what remains."
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, sur kol haolamim, sadik b'kol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer v'yoseh, hamdaber kayem, shekol devarav, emet v'tzedek, al ha'torah, v'al ha'avodah, v'al ha'navim, v'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh, Shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'limnucha lechavod u'tifaret akol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach umvarchim otach yitbarach shimcha b'fi kol chai talmid leolam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha'shabbat.
We turn back to our books as we prepare to return the Torah scroll to the Ark, to page 256, page 256. And for the honor of opening the Ark as we return the Torah scroll to the Ark, we invite Brandon's uncles, Matt, Daniel, and Cliff Brodsky, to join us on the bima, page 256. Please rise.
יחללו את שם אדוני כי נשגב שמו לבדו. עוד הארץ
Shabbat Shalom. I will start with a confession. I'm not 13. I won't be 13 until December 28th, in 2 more months. Somebody at Temple Isaiah thought it would be a good idea to move my bar mitzvah a little earlier. Maybe it would give me something to do while other kids were at the beach or the swimming pool. But you know what? I'm glad they did, because when I read this week's Torah portion, I thought it was written just for me. It's called Vayera, and it's about how Abraham and Sarah welcomed strangers into their tent, fed them, washed them, and made them feel special by showing them respect. The story reflects the values I have learned from my family for as long as I can remember. There's not a weekend or a holiday that goes by without my mom making a meal for someone who needs a little help. She also bakes cookies and brownies for the kids at the high school where she teaches. And she bakes for the senior citizens from Bedford and Burlington. You should come smell our kitchen most weekends afternoons. That's not all. She takes care of a garden in Bedford near the bike path so people can enjoy the flowers she's planted. She taught me the value of giving and sharing. My mom treats me the same way too. Every day I meet her after school and she takes me to play practice or video voyagers or guard up or here to temple. And I know she has other things she needs to do, but she makes me feel special. And my dad, well, he makes me laugh. And one thing about him, he always thinks I can do more than I think I can do. And he's usually right. Sometimes he tells me a problem that faces people and he asks me what I think about it. Then he tells me what he thinks of my ideas. I'm not sure he always takes my advice, but I feel really good when he listens. I'm glad I have both of them to learn from. I'm also really glad to have learned with Sandy Whitecross, who helped me get ready for my Torah portion and this service. Thank you, Sandy, and thank you, Cantor Dube, Rabbi Jaffe, and Rabbi Perlman for helping me get ready for today. In Bedford, where I live, there is a group of strangers who come through our town. They live in a hotel on a busy street where they don't have a lot of room to play and nowhere to go outside. When I read today's Torah portion, I thought about these strangers who come to our town. They are families who've lost their homes in other towns, and they come to this hotel to wait until they can get someplace better to live. And a lot of them found their way to Bedford. There were people from the town who thought these families were taking something away from us. It costs money when the kids go to our school, and sometimes the kids need special help because their lives are pretty tough, and that costs even more. There are grown-ups who said our school was not as good as it has been because these strangers were allowed to learn with us Bedford kids. Even worse, people blamed the kids and parents who lived in the hotel for walking around outside of it even though they were crowded and had no place else to go. But most of the people in my town were not so worried about the cost of the families who lived in the hotel, and instead worried about how the kids inside were crowded and uncomfortable. They acted just like Abraham and Sarah did when they had the opportunity to show hospitality to the strangers. They organized meals for the families. They set up play groups and gave them art supplies. They gave them backpacks and help with their homework. Yesterday, some of the businesses had a Halloween party outside Whole Foods, and along with kids from the town, a whole bunch of kids who live at the hotel came by. We couldn't go last night, but in other years, my mom, my dad, and I helped out. The kids were dressed in their costumes and had so much fun collecting candy. For my Mitzvah project, I'm planning a meal for the families in the hotel, where I will prepare the type of food they would have eaten at home, if they were there. I bet they'd like cheeseburgers and hot dogs like I do, but to make them feel important, I want to learn how to make something familiar to their cultures. So I'm learning about the culture of the families at the hotel, and then we'll decide what to make. I found out I can't go to the hotel to serve the meal because some of the kids might go to the same school as me, and they might not want me to know where they live. I'm kind of glad not to go. I don't want them to have to feel like they have to thank me for cooking. I just want them to enjoy what we make. I want to act like Abraham did when he showed respect to the strangers. He didn't wait to be thanked. I also care about kids who have no toys. Thank you if you brought toys or other items to donate. When we start the reception, you'll see that there are stuffed Nintendo characters on your tables for today's lunch. I really like Nintendo and I'm glad they're the decorations. But after the reception, we're going to donate them to homeless kids so they can enjoy them too. You know, it's tough to be a stranger. And the thing is, sometimes we can go from thinking we're Abraham and Sarah in this story, acting as the host, to realizing we're the strangers, even in the towns where we live. Many of you might have heard about a problem we had in Bedford for about a year now. There was a story about it in the Boston Globe this summer. Some swastikas were found in the high school, and some kids were saying bad things in the schools about Jewish people. Some of the little kids were playing games that weren't very nice about Jewish people. They probably didn't understand what they were saying, but they learned it from somewhere. These problems didn't go away. There were some people in my town who wanted Jewish people to feel like strangers, like we didn't belong there. Other people felt sorry for me, which made me feel different. Suddenly, I wasn't Abraham anymore. I was a stranger, and so were the other Jewish people in my town. But when we were strangers, there were plenty of Abrahams and Sarah in Bedford and other towns who made sure we were treated with respect. There was an assembly right here in Temple Isaiah, and not only were there rabbis here, but ministers and preachers of other religions, and even the principals, teachers, and superintendent from Bedford schools. Jewish people and people who were not Jewish lined up to tell us how much they cared about the way we were treated by the few who had it wrong about us. The police chief and Rabbi Abramson from Burlington worked hard together to make us feel safe. We put a magnet on our car that said, "Bedford embraces diversity," and so did Rabbi Perlman and others. There were friendship dinners, and through that, I met some very nice people. We were the strangers, but we were not alone. That's an important lesson. No matter how much we think we are Abraham or Sarah, sometimes we are the ones who are passing the tent on the outside looking in. Are we any different, the strangers and the hosts? Not really. When you think about it in Bedford, we Jews are both the strangers and the hosts both at the same time. I hear about people who want to build walls and fences in front of our country to keep away the stranger these days. Is that acting like Abraham and Sarah? I don't think so. I hope the people who talk about keeping people out of our country are invited to someone's bar mitzvah this week. Maybe they'll listen to this week's Torah portion and think about the lesson. I like acting like Abraham. I'm looking forward to doing what I can to make those strangers in our town feel welcome. I take it as an opportunity to show how good our town can be, so as long as I have the chance to be Abraham, I will be the one trying to help. Thank you everyone for coming to my bar mitzvah today. Shabbat Shalom.
I want to tell you something.
Yeah?
I've been a rabbi for more than 32 years. I have never once received applause at the end of a talk. Yeah, it's all good.
What can I say?
No, you can say a lot. It's okay. You can say anything you want. You don't have to say anything right now if you want, because in truth, you realize that all your required speaking parts have concluded. So if you can say anything you want, but you don't have to.
Yeah, well, I like to talk. So.
I know that. I can. And as you know, so do I. So we're going to see who gets in louder right now. Brandon, I made a big mistake while you were talking. I was listening to what you said, and fortunately I've read it before and I heard you the other day when we practiced it. But I made the mistake of looking at your parents while you were giving it. The mistake was because I knew this was going to happen. And I was going to start to cry with them. So Brandon, along with Cantor Du and with Rabbi Perlman, who, by the way, as you mentioned, had a big part in that whole matter in Bedford too, right? As well as Rabbi Abramson, we're so glad he's here. He's going to join us up here in a few minutes to take part in the service. Brandon, I want to say for all of us, how proud we are of you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Brandon, one of the special joys I have as a rabbi is sometimes getting to know people for a really long time. In your case, literally your whole life. Because I know you since before you knew you were. I have vivid memories of talking to your mom and dad about waiting for your arrival and then being with you when you came. having an opportunity to share in your life so much these last almost 13 years. Not quite, I know. By the way, for the record, I mentioned this the other day. Jewish tradition doesn't actually say anywhere you have to be 13 already to stand up here and celebrate your becoming bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
So
That's
okay.
why I'm here right now.
That's why you're here right now. It's exactly right. We shoot for that. We shoot for right around 13. So I'm glad that worked out. But just for the record, lest anybody think that we fudged anything, but it worked out quite beautifully. So, and Brandon, there's a single word that keeps coming to mind as I think about being part of your life and witnessing you grow up. Thinking about watching what you've done to get to this point. The only word that comes up for me is, wow. Wow. Brandon, you've worked so hard to become the man you are. You've worked so hard for this day to demonstrate to us who you are and what you're able to do and you can do. I think you were standing by when your grandma and I were talking last night and agreed that we're expecting great things from you in time to come. And not that should be too much of a pressure right today. But the reason is because we know you have it in you and we need it from you. Brandon, I've got to tell you, one of the reasons we expect such great things is because you're able to find so much in yourself and bring it forward is because you have parents who could not love you more and who could not be more dedicated to you and who could not care more about you and prioritize you and your growth and your well-being any more than they have. And boy, you are the living evidence of everything that matters to them and everything they value and care about. And boy, I cannot even imagine, even as a parent myself, how proud they are at this moment as well. Our friend and colleague, Rabbi Susan Abramson of Congregation Shalom Amet in Burlington is here with us this morning. We'd like to invite Rabbi Abramson to join us on the bima so that together, Rabbi Abramson, Rabbi Perlman, Cantor Dube, and I can offer God's blessing to you at this time. We invite all who are gathered to rise. May God's light shine in upon you and be gracious to you.
Brandon, may God's presence always be with you. May God grant you shalom, peace, and wholeness. And let us all say,
Amen.
I thought this was going to be easier than it's going to be. Brandon, I want to take you back, not long ago, just a few weeks ago, to a dinner that you shared with Mom and me at the Burlington Mall. We had been talking about your bar mitzvah and how you worried you might not be ready to lead the service today. We were working on that wonderful Devar Torah. I told you you'd be fine, and that every time there's a challenge put in front of you, you rise to it and you go beyond our expectations. A few minutes later, you said, Dad, remember the time I wrote that play? I knew where you were going. You had just completed 4th grade and you wanted to join a children's summer theater camp, but you wanted to do more than act in the play. You wanted to write the play. We went to the theater together and you asked the director if you could write the play, and she said no. She told you she'd choose an appropriate play from the book and the kids will perform it. And you said, well, that sounds like a good idea, but could I write the play? She said no, and eventually you wore her down. We know the feeling. And she said, well, if you write the play, I'll take a look at it. I'll read it, no promises, but go ahead. A few days later, you wrote the play. You dictated it to me at the keyboard, and Mom and I were stunned with the sophistication and the quality. We gave that script to the director, and she not only agreed, she only read it, she agreed to perform it. She was excited about doing it. And later that summer, a time-consuming adventure opened to an audience in Burlington. And your friend Andy, who's here, was in that. So that night at the restaurant, I knew why you were bringing up that play. Do you remember the rest of what you said, though? I always will. You said, Dad, remember that time I wrote that play? Thank you for believing in me. Brandon, your mom and I will always believe in you. When you put, as the rabbi said, and he does know you well, when you put your mind to achieving a goal, there's no stopping you. And what's special about you is that your goal isn't just about yourself. You get the greatest pleasure when you help others and involve others in your dreams. When you hear about a friend who may not have something you have, even a video game or a stuffed animal, you concentrate on finding a way to share. We were proud of the way you followed the example of Abraham and Sarah in Vayera, as you so eloquently explained in your Devar Torah. You come from a family that is built on the concept of working together to make a better community. Your grandma Elena and your grandpa Jerry put a value on education. They didn't tell your mom or brothers what life path to choose, but they told them they'd be supportive no matter their choice and made sure that they had the education so that they would be prepared for life's challenges. Education is so important to our family that the card catalog at Dartmouth College is engraved with your family's name. Grandma Sue, who's here today, and Grandpa Jerry, my dad, who we were never able to meet, moved to Connecticut when I was little. They could not find a Reformed synagogue where they could pray or send us to Sunday school. So you know what they did? They got together with a few Jewish families and they started a temple of their own, where services were first held at a funeral home in New London, and they worked together so that not only did they have a Reformed temple, but others did too. That congregation eventually grew, moved twice, and Temple Emmanuel still thrives. Your family's name is inscribed there too, and Grandma is still working hard running the gift shop at her temple in Florida. Like your grandparents, you will build something that will last. You already have. When you were in 5th grade, you experienced bullying in the school, and rather than give up or just look out for yourself, you wrote, directed, and appeared in a 5-minute video and as your attempt to protect kids coming after you from the bullying you experienced. And some of your friends who are in that are here today too. That video is still being used by the school today to teach kids to be kind to each other. Brandon, we believe in you. All you have to do is continue to believe in yourself, because you will change the world. You already have. You came into our lives as a blessing, and you continue to make us feel grateful every day that we are a family. We love you.
Stay with me for a minute. Brandon, as you know, there is a blessing that we share in Jewish life when we reach a moment such as this. It's called Shehechianu. It translates to mean, blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who's given us life, sustained us, and brought us to this time.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Brandon, as you know, we have some presentations to be made to you. On behalf of our high school youth group, Lefty, and our teen community, we invite Gabe Brown. And on behalf of our congregation and its board, our sisterhood and brotherhood, we invite Arnold Klickstein.
To present you with two books. First, of course, the Tanakh. And with it, a book of commentary called Text Messages, which should be very helpful to you in your future understanding. Again, Mazel Tov. Thank you.
Brandon, I will mention that there's two commentaries for each Torah portion in there. This book is written for people around your age. In about, I don't know, a month and a half or a little longer, about 2.5 months. You might come across one written by someone you know. If you do, make sure you tell them that you saw it, okay? There's a single word that keeps coming to mind as I think about being part of your life and witnessing you grow up. Thinking about watching what you've done to get to this point. The only word that comes up for me is, wow.